Hi, it's Mark again. Just to move on from the tutorial where I showed you how to create a circle within a shape, just to sort of give it some meaning, I'm going to create the beginnings of the side of a ship with portholes, just as an example. Just a couple of little tricks here to show. Now what I can do is, if I wanted lots of these along the side, let's say we'll just stick with 10, I could say the object selection, I've selected it like so, and I press Control and D, go up to 9, that means there's now 10 of these. Now what I could do is, because I've got the increment snapping here, I could press the Control key down, which I've mentioned before, and move over with the left mouse button once, and then I can go to the next one and move it to, and so on and so forth. But there is a quicker way, and speed is always good, because you don't want to waste a lot of time, because otherwise you can spend many hours on something which can be, the time can be reduced quite significantly on certain menial tasks. So what you can do with all of them selected like so, you can go over to here on the transform and to the position for the X. So I mean, obviously you can do it on different axes as well, but in this particular case I want it to go horizontal. So what I can do, I can press, beg your pardon, L, then open brackets, and I'm now going to include all the objects. So it's from 0, which is the first one, to the 10th one. So that's the array of them. Close brackets, and you can see it spreads them out nicely. Nice little equation. On this I will give you the link to the Probuilder manual element that shows you some of these equations, which are quite handy. But as I say, because of time, I won't spend too much time trying to show you what it does and some other options. In this particular case, they're not quite together, so I wanted to bring them together. So let's say if I times it by 2, oh no, that's too far apart. Let's times it by 1, no, that's exactly what it was by default. So I'm going to go by slightly less than 1. If I'd have gone 0.8, it would have been, you can see they're overlapping there now, which is not much good. So if I went to, actually I've just lost that, so I'll just put that in again and times it by 0.9, as I mentioned before, you've got it exactly right now. I'll go up to the line selection. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to choose all the lines above. Now be careful not to select any of these items, otherwise you'll get some very odd results. So make sure it's only those that are highlighted. As you can see up there, you've got the increment snapping as 1. So I'm going to keep the Control key down and go up 1 like so. I'm going to do the same down here. And just go down 1. Now we've got the side of a ship, but it's not quite the shape we want yet, so let's bring this out. Now I could bring this out separate, which I think probably will be best. So rather than pressing the Control key, I'll press the Shift key down and come out. It doesn't really matter, you can change it as you go along, but that basically brings that out, and that's kind of going to be the front of the ship. So what we can do, well, I've gone over to the vertex selection, selected just those vertices I should say, and go over like so. That's the beginning, and you don't want to get too bogged down in this and trying to shape it exactly at first. Just get the basic thing. So let's move that in so that it's the water, effectively when a ship's going through the water, it's going to, as any ship would be, it's going to slide past, so it just scythes through the water. That's not going to be exactly right, so what do we want to do? Well, possibly want to point it out a bit more here. so I want to go out that way, and maybe we could bring that in a bit more. So I'm pressing the control key down, I'm moving it over. You can see how you can do this. If you wanted, you could also go over to line selection and Alt E to bring some lines in. Bring that in like so. So at the moment, as you can see, you've got sort of odd shapes, but if you start bringing in more lines, so the top and bottom line, Alt E, top of the bottom line, Alt E, top of the bottom line, Alt E. You've now got the beginnings, and I want to bring this right down to a small amount. You've got the beginnings of a slightly shapely rounded edge to that. So what I've effectively been doing is creating lines here and keeping the control key down, and I can move this up and down like so. Now if I go back to the face selection and I wanted to say merge this all, you've got a nice rounded area there. Now I've done this really quick, and apologies if it's a bit too quick, because I wanted to always try to make things as clear as possible, but I just didn't want to waste too much time and get you bored, but just show you kind of what you can do and how you can do it with a couple of little tricks. So if I want to now change that colour to something else, I could make that red if I wanted, and there we are. Or I can make that white. So you can see the materials in there. I've effectively selected it all here with the object selection to make sure they're all selected. Gone over to here, make sure they're all face selected, and then I go to materials and red. In this particular case, let's go for white. You've got a nice side of a ship. There's no streamlining or anything like that, so you'd have to go in there and start sort of altering things, but you can see you're getting nice smooth edges, and you can still tweak them as you go along with the tricks that I've mentioned. Hopefully that's got you a kind of an idea of what you can do. So one last thing I was going to do was just going to select these again and just bring this out a little bit like so. So what I've done, I've selected that and I've just kept the shift key down and left mouse button and pulled it out a little bit with the arrow, making sure I'm on the move tool at the time. And then you can see you've now got some kind of thickness to it. We haven't got anything on the inside, so you'd have to select those and move those backwards and flip face normals, which I can show at another stage, to actually create an inner part of that. But at the moment we're just looking at the outer part. And there we are. Right, so hopefully that's quite useful. If there are any questions, by all means send a comment if I've just made this a little bit unclear, because I've done this quite quickly and tried to save as much time as I can. By all means, if you can subscribe for me, that I'd be very grateful, because that'll hopefully make it more worthwhile for me to start putting some more intricate stuff in, and to try and simplify things and help if I can. Thanks very much.